Hey, good morning, everybody. It is great to be with you all. Welcome to Surfside, California. There's some pretty brisk surf fishing action going on here this morning. You can hear those white birds chirping. Anytime you see those around, you know there's some fish getting pushed into the beaches here. Yellowfin croaker, spotfin croaker. This gentleman behind me has had some really good fishing, including one really nice big spotfin croaker. I'll cover that in just a moment, let you know what he's using for bait and have some suggestions for the surf fishing bite here today. Well, welcome to the morning briefing. As usual, it's my pleasure to be with you, and I can't thank you enough for spending some time with us and pushing us up over 600,000 views. I'm sorry, 650,000 views, and I'm no dummy. We owe that all to you, and I can't thank you enough. Make sure you hit the like button. That really helps us a lot. And if you want to share this report, that would be deeply appreciated. All right, let's start out in the offshore situation as we have been in that bluefin tuna. Let me just make this comment before I get into anything. This season has been marked by inconsistencies. I mean, it seems like the thing's ready to rock and roll, and then it slows down. You get 20 yellowtail on a boat, it's followed by 0 yellowtail the next day. You get a big hit on the bluefin tuna, and they're gone the next day. So we'll see if finally we can establish some continuity to this bite. That would certainly be good. We do have some wind, but as I look at the week in general, we're gonna have some wind, and this includes the Channel Islands and just about everywhere. But it's not gonna get out of hand. We're gonna be able to fish in it. Is it gonna be flat calm all the time? No. Will there be periods of that? You darn right. We're looking down the barrel of some really nice weather, and that is only gonna help. And when we talk about weather here on morning briefing, we're never talking about whether it's overcast or sunny or warm. We're always talking about the oceans and the seas. We're talking about wind. We're talking about big seas. We're talking about unfishable situations. And the weather this week looks pretty darn good everywhere we look. We're gonna have a little bit of wind, but sometimes that wind is gonna rear its ugly head in the afternoons, and that means we can get our day in fishing. So that is all great news. All right, let's talk offshore. Bluefin tuna. It is up again around San Clemente Island. It is down again. It's just inconsistent. There's still some really good conking going on at night with the long range boys. They've been hammering away with those knife jigs, especially the flatfalls, the Dawasacanas. A lot of times it's that heavier jig because you have some wind and current. Recently, Aliar on the Polaris Supreme had limits of bluefin tuna, a lot of 60 to 80 pound stuff, some up over 100 pounds. It has been fabulous once again. And some other guys like the Amigo out of 22nd Street Landing, fishing San Clemente Island, doing pretty well on the yellowtail there and the calico bass. On the way home, picked off 4 bluefin tuna. My friend Phil Capriccio, I told you all about Phil. He was out just the other day, ended up with 4 bluefin tuna, and all of them on the Mad Mac. As you can see by the cover of today's video, he's on there with that Mad Mac in the mouth of a bluefin tuna. So there are some bluefin tuna there around San Clemente Island. That bite is inconsistent, but biting at night, and hopefully it's going to continue. There's been fish taken in the daytime, at times really good. Those Mad Macs, trolling those have been an excellent way to get a bite. And when you go up on a foamer, there's been some popper fish. And yes, poppers do work. We had a whole thing with Sam De La Torre just the other day at Island Fishing Tackle on using the popper. And of course, many guys will fish the popper with spinning reels. It's really the best way to do it. And Daiwa has so many great reels where you can really put the screws to those tuna, those bluefin. So that is starting to come together. Whether or not we can get some continuity and consistency, still up in the air. And there is fish out there on Tanner and Cortez, mostly Tanner Bank right now. Some long-range boys out there have been conking away at it. I'd love to see one of them get limits and then troll on outside the Cortez where there's some good-looking albacore water. The clock is ticking on our prediction once again. We blew it last year. We may blow it again this year, but we'll have to hang on and see because there's still a long way to go, and we're sticking by our prediction. The oceanography looks good. We have cool water for those albacore. hopefully that's going to come together. All right, warm water stuff is starting to improve again. It's not that it was down the drain, it was just that it was far away. But we're getting overnight hits on kelp patties once again, and that is all really great news because we've got a lot of yellows on the kelp. Most of that fish, I want to say, is 5 to 12 pounds. But the legend recently, just getting back in from a 3-day trip, what a trip. I got to tell you, 420 yellowtail. That is nice fishing. And a lot of that fish was that 10 to 12 pound stuff. Pretty nice, and they have fish up over 20 pounds on that trip. 28 Dorado, 5 yellowfin tuna, a bluefin tuna to go along with it. That is some darn good fishing, summer-like fishing. And hopefully we're going to see more of that warm water push up the Baja coast, keeping it warm inside and that cooler albacore-style water on the outside. Fingers crossed that that's exactly what we're looking at. Of course, when you fish the kelps, you want to have 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon. That works really, really well. There are surface ironfish. You can catch them on poppers at time also, but really the best way recently has been a fly line, good hot bait, and that has been getting you lots of bites. I do want to make this point to you all. I don't even care if you're going kelp patty fishing, whatever it is you're doing offshore, bring the heavy tackle if you have it, okay? And I'm talking a 2-speed reel with 80 to 130 pound on it. It really is necessary. This bluefin pops up all the time in a spot that we're not expecting it. And if it's big fish and you're not tackled up, you're watching instead of participating. And I know this has been kind of a spectator sport this year where we're looking at all these fish all the time and they're not biting, but we don't want it to be a spectator sport. We want you to participate and catch your dream fish. So make sure you're bringing that variety of tackle. I talked about that 30 to 40 pound. You might want to have a rod with 50 to 60 and then that heavy rod and reel because you want to be prepared in case that BFT pops up in front of you. Overnight, Old Glory, 80 yellowtail, a lot of 8 to 12 pound stuff on that one. Pacific Islander, 25 guys, 62 yellowtail, 2 Dorado, and tons of bonita running around. So some pretty good offshore fishing, those 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. boats. Let me just switch over to those guys just for one moment and just make the comment that they're getting very close to going offshore again. But they really have some great fishing at the Coronado Islands, which I'll cover with you in just one moment. Great mixed bag fishing there, so it's hard to peel away from that right now. Remember, you need a passport when you fish the Coronado Islands. You don't need one when you're offshore. So you kind of get everybody in the groove, everybody's showing up with their passports, and you kind of want to keep that going for a while until it becomes obvious that offshore is the place to go. And we're not there yet. I'm thinking we're going to get there pretty fast. We've got a full moon coming up. In fact, a super moon, the biggest one of the year. And sometimes you see great movement with fish on full moon. So hopefully we're going to see more of that fish move up the Baja coast. There's no reason why it shouldn't do that. And hopefully we'll see Dorado, yellowfin, and more kelp patty yellowtail in those full day trips out of San Diego. We'll see how that goes. All right, let me switch you over to islands right now. And down there at Todos Santos Island, a lot of barracuda here the last 24 hours. Not only that, but we continue to see some really excellent fishing on rockfish, a few yellowtail down there. Nothing wide open except for that barracuda bite has been good. And it's popped up in several different areas, not only at the islands, but along the coast, which I'll cover with you in a moment. And please remember that there's no better way. Just ask my friend Jeff over at the 540 Slingers. There's no better way to take barracuda than on a surface iron like a Taddy 45, a blue and white. What a magnificent way to catch fish. There's no question about that. So throwing that iron is such a great way to take those critters down there in the Ensenada area, right there at Todos Santos and in on the coast. Up there at the Coronado Islands, we briefly mentioned that most of those full day boats are fishing that right now, and they're doing pretty doggone good. The Grande, 25 guys, 11 yellowtail, 52 barracuda, 43 calico bass, 58 on the rockfish, and 3 lingcod. Nice mixed bag fishing, nice conditions, fun Coronado Island fishing the way it's supposed to be. We could use a few more yellows, but that's good action. Malahini's been having similar types today. We'll be out with Bill Wilkerson on the Malahini on July the 22nd, which is a Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You should join us for that one. We always have such a great time on board the Malahini, and we intend to do that again. So looking really, really good down there in that neck of the woods. San Diego, 7 yellowtail, 47 calico bass, just under 100 on the Barracuda. So great fun action. And on the San Diego, they dumped quite a few yellowtails. So lots of bites and some nice quality yellows at the islands right now. A lot of 15 to 20 plus pound fish. Really fun fishing indeed. And again, fluorocarbon, a fly line bait, probably the best way to get it done. Some surface iron fish also going on there at the Coronado Islands. All right, looking at San Clemente Island, we talked about that bluefin popping up. Will it stay up? We'll see as this day plays out. It's within range of boats going back to, for example, Dana Point, or you can swing out there and get a piece of it out there when you're coming home from the island. But at the island right now, some pretty darn good fishing going on at times. And then, man, I'll tell you, it just changes. Like, you know, you'll have a hit of 30, 40 yellowtail, and then the next day, not much. Freedom, 4 white sea bass, 2 yellowtail, a halibut, and rockfish. Freedom, I believe, was fishing Nick. Not positive on that. And Tino Valentine was saying, man, kind of a spectator sport at times today. Did get a good piece of it and filled everybody's sacks with the rockfish. Everybody went on home really, really happy. But saw fish boiling, saw free swimming yellowtail, and it was hard to get them to settle and bite, which has been the theme this year, hasn't it? It's really been a frustrating year. Thunderbird, 4 yellowtail, hooked a few more than that. Decent bass fishing with over 60 legal bass, so nothing wrong with that. Half a century on the Bonito. Nice weather until they started heading home, and then that wind that we talked about manifested itself and made it for a little bit of a bumpy ride coming home. But as I said, the weather overall for the next week, we're going to have some windy conditions, but overall looks pretty good. It's going to be a little windy on some days, but totally fishable. And then we're going to have some periods of really gorgeous weather. So that is really great news. At Catalina Island, my friend Daryl Spivey was out on the native sun, and just, I mean, he went way out of his way to contact me and say, man, the vibe on the native sun from the captain to the crew was great. Said he had a great time on board. Caught, you know, some bonita, there was barracuda. It's been a variety of fish at Catalina, sometimes very slow, sometimes decent fishing at Cabot. Daryl was really high on the native sun and his experience there. Daryl, thank you for sharing that with me. They're out of 22nd Street, landed in beautiful San Pedro, California. Freelance was over there at Cat, 2 yellows, had a mix of bonita, barracuda. Same thing on the Sport King. In fact, Bruce said he had limits on the bonita, so limits on the bonita and 1 yellowtail. And those were the kind of scores that we saw at Catalina. Some guys had some really good action on bonita and barracuda, a lot of calico bass, many shorts, and other guys struggled. And once again, the island, just like everywhere else, has lacked consistency. We'll keep our eyes on that for you very, very closely. Up there in the Channel Islands, there has been some conking on white sea bass. Most everybody has been in the same zone. Now, we did have a lot of wind last night, making it very uncomfortable and difficult. So we'll have to see how that affects the bite here today. We've seen some very good fishing for the Endeavor, the Aloha Spirit. I'm just naming a couple of boats. Mirage. There's been other guys who've been all over this, including boats out of Santa Barbara. They've been fishing virtually the same area. Sometimes you lock up alpha position, and sometimes it's just sea bass coming into the zone. You get bit, somebody else does not get bit. It's been that kind of a bite. On the Mirage, just the other day, Steve Bermudez was there, and Steve made the point that when you fish a dropper loop, you're fishing that one zone. Your bait is on the bottom, and a sea bass has got to swim into it. Steve was taking a 3-ounce lead head and making as long a cast as he could possibly make, and then just slowly winding it back. So he's covering more ground, and he went from fishing a dropper loop with no bites to fishing the lead head and moving it through the water like that, and ended up with limits of white sea bass with 3 fish in less than an hour. So that was really, really an excellent way to do it up there. The Mirage, on their latest trip, after a really banner trip, they had 5 white sea bass for 22 guys, lots of rockfish, other guys with double digits on the sea bass. The Aloha Spirit here recently with a big day, 24 white sea bass. That was yesterday. So once again, it's, you know, one guy gets them, one guy doesn't, but there is a lot of sea bass. It's the epicenter of white sea bass fishing, the Channel Islands, and they continue to do really good. And they have a special August trip, which is probably sold out already, on the Endeavor out of Ventura Sport Fishing, and that boat is sold out until November. So something opened up, a charter canceled or something. If you want to fish with Tucker McCombs, one of the very best in this business, give Ventura Sport Fishing a call, 805-676-3474, and see if there's still room. You got to move fast on this one. If it's not sold out already, it will be here very, very soon. So really good sea bass fishing up there at the Channel Islands. And as I said, Cisco's boats, the Oxnard boats, the Ventura boats, Santa Barbara, are all huddled up in that same area. They had a lot of wind, still have a little bit of that today. Overall, the picture for this week, you know, the wind that they're going to have is going to be in the afternoons on a couple of days. For the most part, looking at great weather up there. And every single time we get that weather window in the Channel Islands, we're blessed with great sea bass fishing. So it's looking good up there. They're still making squid. That is all really great news indeed. All right, let me talk to you about the local situation. And down there in Ensenada, there's a lot of barracuda flushing into the coast there. They've had excellent fishing. University Point, Sasepuedas, other zones up there around Punta Banda. There's a lot of gar. There's great calico fishing going on right now at Punta Banda. You can fish the hard baits. You can fish the plastics. You can take down some fresh dead squid. If you do, look out. You might catch a sea bass there also. It's such a smart thing if you're headed down there to bring some squid with you. It works wonders on the bite down there. San Diego, and in general, taking you up the coast, it's been scratchy for surface fish like bass. Our bass bite hasn't been all that good. When we're catching bass, we've been catching short fish. It's been tough, really tough in some areas. San Diego, Dana, not much bass. A little bit of bass up here in this neck of the woods. City of Long Beach yesterday, scratched out a few bass. It's been that kind of a situation. But still, we have some decent barracuda fishing at times, depending upon where you're shopping. Up there in Redondo here recently, 24 guys in the morning yesterday, 38 barracuda with rockfish. Afternoon, 16 barracuda with some rockfish. Enterprise limited out on sculpin, and then headed over to Catalina Island where they caught what we were discussing before, you know, some nice bonita bass, mostly shorts, and okay barracuda fishing over there. And there's some yellows and other species, as we previously mentioned to you. And then we get you up there to the Channel Islands, Island Spirit, poking away out of Ventura Sport Fishing with some decent bass and barracuda on the coast at times. Not really all that bad. Bring some surface iron. Bring that fluorocarbon. I like 20 pound. Even drop it down to 15 pound is a good idea when you're fishing bass. That could really help make your day in that neck of the woods. And as we look at the surf fishing bite, it's been fairly decent here for a little bit of time. I've been watching this gentleman. He's been doing pretty darn good. So that's good news. And of course, I fish with these guys once in a while, and they're digging up sandworms. That's what they're doing, and fishing with those sandworms, especially with that nice spot fin that I saw this guy take. That's a nice big fat spot fin croaker. It's so good to see those fish because they are not only a lot of fun, but they are really great eating. So I've seen them with 3 species this morning. Yellowfin croaker, I've seen them with, well, I've actually seen them with these round stingrays also, but yellowfin croaker, spotfin croaker, and corvina. So really good fishing. Another way to fish the corvina, you saw how he was fishing it with the double hook rig, is of course to walk these beaches and visually see the fish and throw a bait on them. That is also such a great way to get the job done on the corvina. So up and down the coast, more corvina. some decent fishing here. You're going to fish natural baits if you want spot fin croaker, sand crabs, sandworms, ghost shrimp. My friend down there at Big Fish Bait and Tackle in the beautiful city of Seal Beach, right on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. They've got a ton of those kind of baits for you. All right, we've got it wrapped up. I do need to mention to you our new sponsor, the Apollo, moving down to Seaforth Sport Fishing and ready to finish off in a big way down there. The Apollo, if you'd like to get on board, and she's looking beautiful under new ownership now, and they are dedicated and committed to making sure you have a great day on an absolutely beautiful boat. They've already made a ton of improvements, and that is a work in progress. They're going to continue that. If you want to get on board, don't delay too long. 619-761-0882. You can see that we are very happy with blacktail hooks. We've been fishing those in the surf here. I was out fishing them for calico bass the other day. Affordably priced and great hooks, no question about it. Also, a reminder that Tuesday night we will be live and we will have James Kikawa talking slow pitching, which is a technique of jig fishing that has its origins in Japan. It's becoming the hot thing, and if you don't know what it is and you want to learn more, this is going to be a great show. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. We'll be live on our YouTube channel, the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel. And remember, you can type in a question for James, send it in, and we will be happy to answer all your questions. And I know he's going to be a fountain of information. And don't forget, the following Tuesday, Jolene Thompson will be here. She's got a colorful history in sport fishing. We'll be talking lady angling. We'll talking about her exploits, her great catches, tackle tips, and so much more. You're going to love Jolene also. All right, my friends, thank you so much for joining us on another morning briefing. As always, it's my pleasure. We've got a lot to watch for you, some great long-form podcasts headed your way, and so much more. And as always, for the 650,000 views and the thousands of hours of watch time, I thank you all, really, from the bottom of my heart. Take care, my friends. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you again really soon.